Hello.
Good night.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are we?
Good. How's your week been, James?
Oh, well, you know what? Rushed off my feet.
Busy. Good Easter weekend?
Yeah. I sat in a slightly different spot on the sofa.
I did the same. I think I spent Friday was inside the house, then did a bit outside of the house,
Ooh.
and then moved back in again.
Yeah. So, Davey, you been exploring?
Bit of wild camping in the back garden.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That was good.
Good.
Maybe bivvy in the back garden tonight. Maybe.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I've been spotting all these challenges that have been going on of like running Everest and stuff in the garden. I think we should have a go. I nominate you to do it, James.
Oh, cheers.
As the fittest amongst people.
I've already measured our stairs. So our stairs is 3.6 meters high, and our driveway is 1.3 meters.
Okay.
Over 20 meters, so it's got it's a little gradient.
Yeah, you got quite a lot of horizontal distance though.
Yeah, it depends whether I'm going for the Ultra or the VK, I guess.
VK. Gotta go for
the VK. All about the VK. Huh?
Yeah. Right. Okay. That's the next video. You heard it here first. Jeff's going to do Everest on his stairs and drive.
Sounds great. Yeah.
It's live. This you can't take it back.
It's already done.
Right. What we're learning about today, James?
So we're going to follow on from last week. Last week we talked about kit repair, about sewing, taping, gluing your waterproof jackets. So we thought it'd be a good one to go back to basics and actually sort of look at regular maintenance of your kit. So this isn't oh no, I've ripped it, or this isn't something you're doing as a one-off. This is what you should be doing regularly. So we want to talk about how regular, when you do it, how you do it, why you do it, why is it important, and then just a few other little tips about kind of maintaining your waterproof jackets, mainly obviously waterproof trousers as well. But we'll cover kind of anything else that we want to look at as well in terms of clothing. So, so myself and Davey will be washing some kit live.
Wow, what a great feat this is.
Yeah. We might skip a few stages, but we'll look at some different ways of doing it, and then also whether there's better ways, or is there a method that's one way better than the other, and that's the main thing. So we're going to start with why you should wash your jacket. So the number one thing you can do for your jacket is to wash it. Just stick it in a bucket of cold water and swoosh it around. That will be better for it than doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm in the don't wash it camp.
Yeah.
Leave it until I become some kind of biohazard and people stop standing near me. Then I do something about it.
Yeah, exactly. And we see this a lot. Worked in like the industry. I've worked in shops for years. So's Davey, and it's like the number one thing you see. Somebody walks in, the thing is like hanging off them, and they're like, oh, and I've not washed it. That's the way, I've never washed it, as if
pride not to have washed it.
Oh, but they've never washed it. And this to me is like buying a Ferrari and never putting oil in it. So you invest in the jacket, and then you've got to invest time in the jacket maintaining it. So we've got a little message here from the guys at Storm Care, who are a manufacturer of proofer. So there you go. Hello. Say hello, Storm Care. All right.
Nice.
We'll move on to that in a bit.
But surely, James, if I wash my jacket, it's going to be less waterproof. I'm going to wash all the waterproofing off it, and then it's be even worse. I'm better off just leaving it. So
we'll explain how waterproofs work, and then we'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, brilliant.
So there's basically, let's say there's 4 kinds of waterproof jacket. 3 are very similar, and there's a 4th which is just weird and on the outside. So number 1 is what we call a 2-layer jacket. So 2-layer means you've got a membrane, which is that white bit, and the outside, which is the face fabric. Face fabric protects the membrane. That's all it does. That's a membrane is a fabric or a layer that's got holes in it. And the holes are small enough to allow condensation through, water vapor, but not big enough to allow water droplets through. Water droplets are something like 10 times bigger than vapor. So you can allow vapor out, but not water in, okay? And that whole process of breathability is driven by the warmth inside here and the dampness being greater than the conditions outside. So that's number one, how jackets work. So you need a membrane and a face fabric. And then the reason you have other kinds of waterproof is because the membrane is quite delicate and so is a little bit vulnerable if you leave it exposed. If you want a really lightweight jacket, that's fine. If you want it a little bit different, you then put a 0.5 layer, 2.5 this now is, 0.5 layer. So this is a dotted, almost microscopic covering over the membrane, which holds it just off the skin, gives a little bit of a gap, protects the membrane, but also allows a gap for the vapor to get up and onto the fabric so it's not against your skin. So that's why these are more breathable and feel a bit better next to the skin than a no lining. So that's a 0.5, 2.5. And then the next one, which I think, Davey, you've got an example of.
So is that jacket, what is that's the Cam Light, isn't it?
This is Cam Light, so it uses both. So you've got more breathable sections in like the arms and the shoulders where you sweat more. And then you've got lighter weight fabrics in the body, so it's still packable and nice and light. So you can mess around with how you use your fabrics, but the basic principle is a membrane and a protective face fabric. In theory, you could have a jacket which was just a membrane, but I mean, essentially that would be a bin bag. So, but
they don't look great to run in.
No. So, Davey, you've got sort of our third fabric. So this is a 3-layer fabric. So this is what you would traditionally think of as a waterproof fabric. It's got that rustle to it.
What's that? An ether jacket you got there?
Ether, yeah. Ether or navy would be what we used to do. So that's a 3-layer fabric. And what that's got is a woven lining on the inside of the jacket. And what that does is it gives a real good structure to keep the fabric, the membrane away from the skin. It gives space for the vapor to go while it's waiting to get through the membrane, so that it's not sat on your skin feeling clammy. And it's a really good protective layer for that membrane. So what that means is that's your most breathable option, but it's also slightly bulkier and slightly heavier, usually, as it is the ether and the ava are very lightweight, so obviously. Yeah. But generally, that's what we would think of as a traditional hiking waterproof jacket. You know, you try it on, it's all rustly, it feels kind of like a suit of armor. That's the 3-layer fabric. So those are the three. The fourth one I mentioned, which we won't dwell on, is associated with a brand called Paramo, which works completely differently. Uses mainly voodoo.
Mainly voodoo,
but basically doesn't have a membrane and it's not got taped seams, which is why they're not allowed in a lot of races. So they don't have taped seams. They rely on the action of your body heat and what have you, pumping the moisture away. So it's a different way of doing things. It still needs treating though, and it still needs washing. And so this whole other segment is relevant. But we don't dwell on them because they're not something that would be allowed in the Arm event or most other fell races because they haven't got taped seams. You would be able to carry one because they tend to be bulkier anyway.
Cool.
So I'll have a sip of coffee now. Okay, so we've got those. That is how a waterproof generally works. But then you've got this other element to it, which is called a DWR. So a DWR is a chemical treatment that sits on the outside of the jacket. So this is applied in the factory, and then we're going to tell you how you can reapply it. So DWR stands for durable water repellency, and what that is a chemical treatment, sits on the outside of the jacket, and it is your first line of defense. So this is a hydrophobic treatment. That means the water droplets sit on the outside of the jacket. We call it beading. And that effect, when you buy a new jacket and you go outside and you check it under the tap, like I can't help myself doing, and you get that really cool effect where the water droplets sit on the surface and just move around and you just shake it off. That's what your DWR is doing. What that does, it holds moisture away from off the face fabric, allows the membrane to breathe, and allows your condensation out. So what that's doing is your first line of defense, holding the moisture away and allowing your condensation to get out to stop that buildup of damp on the inside of the jacket. So that's not your waterproofing. The waterproofing is the membrane. That's the important bit. What people see is over time, because they're wearing the jacket, moving around, rubbing it, rain falls on it, UV degradation, whatever it is, the DWR wears off, and you get what we call wetting out, which is where the fabric starts to look darker. Although this is black, so it doesn't really work. It starts to look darker. It looks heavier. It looks sodden, saturated. It feels wet on the outside and starts to feel clammy on the inside. That's the face fabric taking on water. And what that does is it blocks the membrane from breathing. So this is what you're basically putting a lid on your jacket and you're turning it into a bin bag. And so you're sweating inside it, and that's just it's not got anywhere to go. It's just sitting on the inside of your jacket and it feels horrible. And in fact, you could go out and it's dry, but you would come back wet because of your sweat on the inside of your jacket.
Yeah, I'm terrible for that. If I go out and I'm still just starting off, I always like exploding sweat, and my jacket just gets overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then, so I always find that if I start without it, and then I find more, and then put it on after half an hour, I have a better balance between the amount of water vapor going out.
Yeah, you've got that sort of you've kickstarted that action, so you're allowing the jacket to do its job.
Yeah.
So if that DWR is gone, you're going to notice a real drop off in the performance, not just in how the beading affect, but also how you feel inside the jacket. So that leads on to the second problem, second reason to wash your jacket. When you're sweating, your sweat contains oil and salt, and they're all damaging to a membrane. So the salt can actually act like an abrasive, like sandpaper, and the oils can also degrade it. And then you've also got dirt on your skin, and not you personally, but anybody, airborne dirt, whatever, it adheres to it, and then it gets all rubbed in, and it wears it away, and then you get this what we call delamination, which is where the membrane, which is laminated, starts peeling away from the face fabric. So you see it, the ones without the woven backer, so these 2-layer and 2.5 layer, they're the most vulnerable. So the ether jacket with its 3-layer can still happen, but it's just got that extra defense of that woven backer.
Yeah, we see it a lot. Anywhere where the skin touches the jacket, the back of the neck, if it has never been washed and it's been left, even the fabric, the main fabric, never mind the membrane, because the salt builds up inside it, almost microscopically destroying it from the inside. We see this starting to shred. Some of the really older ones that have never been washed, people will bring it back into the shop maybe after 5 years and say, look what's going on with this. It's kind of hard to say, well, you've never washed it.
Yeah, you're abrading the jacket, so the fabric is getting worn away by the ingrained salt and dirt, and then the oils are also acting to degrade it.
Yeah, so you've got to think. Yeah, and thinking about all that oil is just blocking the membrane as well.
There's no way that oil can get through.
Yeah, exactly. If you
because that's how you lose. I'm probably slightly wrong here, but when you sweat, you do give off you burn fat.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. And in fact, to give you an idea of the importance of how much this has an effect, the average human, when working hard, so that's running or walking up a hill, they sweat between 0.8 and 1.2 liters of water. So about a liter of water-ish, depending how fit you are. So a liter of water an hour is being pumped out your body. You're throwing it up the inside of your jacket, and it's just, that's why you feel wet. That's where the wetness comes from. So
you've got to think it's also salt. It's all the salt and everything else that's in there as well that's coming out as well.
It contains all the nasties, and my dog's joining in now.
Tell you what, it's funny. It's funny to see it like that in a quantity. 1 litre. I'll tell you what, I don't drink nearly enough water.
Yeah, so
when I go around.
Like,
no wonder I'm just dehydrated mess by the end of a race.
If you go out for like a 3-hour, if you do Langdale, if you run Langdale Horseshoe race,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you pump, and even afterwards, you probably don't drink enough, which is why you wake up usually the next day feeling hungover, because it's the same thing. You're just dehydrated.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever been hungover, but so that's why you want to do it. So that's absolutely key. So we've got a little comment here, which is actually really useful.
Oh, good point. Stormcare.
From Stormcare again. Here we go. Look at this. So really good point. I don't use any, so that's why I didn't think of it.
Moisturizers. That's all you, James.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's true. Beard oil, hair gel, Davey. You may be.
That's Davey.
Grill cream.
There's a lot of work goes into that quiff.
I tell you what,
you're a fire hazard now.
Yeah. So anything you've got on your skin, anything that you on after your shower, deodorants, anything like that, they can all have an effect. And you might think, it seems really minor, but you've got to remember you're wearing this for potentially hours at a time, or day after day, or you wear it a couple of times a week. You're pumping out all this sweat, which is then carrying all these products. It's a really damaging thing. Now, it's not to say that the jacket can't handle it, but you've got to give it a hand. Like, you've got to kind of help it handle it.
Yeah. Okay. I feel bad. I feel bad for my waterproof. I have definitely mistreated my waterproof and have not looked after it, and have just continually filled it full, the membrane full of rubbish, and blocked it all up.
Your jacket is basically twice the weight when you start than when you bought it.
It's all the moisturizer.
Yeah. So here's actually a really good point. So bug sprays. Okay. So especially if you're in summer, or maybe not this summer, in Scotland or in the lakes or anywhere kind of where there's lots of midges, and you're using jungle formula or any of those kind of sprays, they're all going to have an effect. They tend to be like solvent-y type stuff, but also particularly DEET strips away waterproofing. DEET, obviously, DEET is horrendous stuff anyway.
What's DEET?
DEET?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it stands for.
It's just nastiness. Yeah.
Just horribleness. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a nasty anti-insect spray.
Yeah.
So, and it's the most effective stuff. But if you use Avon Skin So Soft is the classic.
Right.
Even that's an oil, so that's oil based. So you're still going to get it clogging up the membrane. Right. So basically, you've never washed your jacket. It's minging. You find you're getting damp inside it, even when you're not. Even if it's not raining outside, you're getting wet inside it. Or if it is raining outside, outside your jacket is saturated. It feels heavy. It's not beading like it used to. Your sweat isn't getting out of it. We now know why. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. So what can you do about it? Like I say, swilling it in a bucket of water, like stick it in a stream, that will help. That will help a bit, right? Just getting rid of some of the salt, some of the oil. But obviously oil, you want to use some kind of soap to pluck the oil off, the way that works. We've all learned a lot about washing hands and how that works. It's the same principle. So that's why we use a product in there as well. And then heat as well. Obviously, if you use warm water, it's going to help. So hand washing is absolutely fine. What you don't want to use is detergent. So you don't want to use anything like your Persil or whatever brand, because detergents have all sorts of other stuff in them. They're not just a cleaner. They have color brighteners, they have surfactants in them which help the clothes kind of look better afterwards. They're really astringent, so they're quite damaging to the fibers anyway. So you want to use, I use this phrase like soft soap or soap flakes. Davey always laughs. It's never even made. I don't know, maybe carbolic soap? Is that that's
soap flake?
I don't even know what that is. People have talked about soap flakes to me for years. I know. I don't even know where you get it. Let's go to a hardware store.
Soap flakes. That's not been a thing since the 50s, has it?
I think it's
probably that's probably when I received my waterproof training. Is that Yeah. So basically, you want to use something that doesn't have a detergent in it, but you still want to have the effect of stripping out the oils, dissolving, getting rid of the salt, and then just washing out any debris or airborne kind of dirt particles that are going to be stuck in the membrane. So you want to use something that can handle that, but not strip everything away. So it needs to be a gentle cleaner. So there's loads of different brands, and people will kind of have a preference or whatever. So I've got here a couple of different ones. Davey, I think you've got a couple there. Yeah. So that's Storm Care. So that's the proofer, yeah.
That's the proofer I had there. I've none of the waterproofer left. I've used it all. So just in there.
There's Nick Waxes. I found this in the garage, which is it's actually for base layers, but same stuff. It's a non-detergent based wash, and then you've got Storm Care. We recommend Storm Care, but any of them will do. Storm Care is just a little bit nicer for the environment. The packaging and stuff is better for the environment and just their general ethos. So that's why we go for them. But as long as it's not a detergent based wash, you're fine. So use that, and then basically,
how do we use it?
So
run us through it. How do I make my jacket work again?
Right. So you need one of these, or a bath,
or a bath,
or a bath, or a bucket.
Do I get in the bath in my waterproof?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah. So you can hand wash. Hand washing is absolutely fine. It's just obviously doing it by machine's quicker and easier.
Yeah.
So absolutely fine. Every machine's got different settings, but it doesn't need to be on hot. So 30, 40 degrees on a synthetic wash, absolutely fine. You can then, if you've got the little tub that you put into the drum, you can pop it in there, or you can use it in your tray. But before you do any of that, you need to get your tray out. I'm not going to show you because it's horrible. You need to get your tray out. It's actually not too bad. Look at that; it's pretty clean, isn't it?
That looks unused.
Yeah, there you go. Same washing machine. So
nice.
What you can get if you do use powders and detergent, and the other real thing to avoid is fabric conditioner, fabric softener, any of that rubbish. Really not good for any of your clothes, really, but not for waterproofs. So clean that out of any gunk that you've got built up. So if you do use powders, you'll find that you have like a build-up of the powder that hasn't dissolved. Clear that out, clean it out. Some people will say put your washing machine through on a rinse cycle when it's empty to get rid of all the stuff in the pipes. I would say that's probably a waste of water, and I wouldn't necessarily suggest to do that. I think as long as you've got the worst of it out, I think that's probably fine. I think you can rinse it through if you want, or maybe put something in there that you don't mind, but you use that rinse for something. Don't just waste the water. So that's the big thing to do.
That's a good point. That I'm always concerned about, like the residual soap and detergent. Like there's obviously it's important not to have the detergent in there.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that probably is what puts people off using the washing machine thing, is thinking, it's going to have a load of detergent already in there and stuff. But I suppose if it rinses at the end of the cycle, it's all kind of gone through.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It won't be a lot in the tubes anyway. And actually, most people use things that go in here anyway. So.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, but it is a point worth making. If you do, then check that. But don't. You can do what you want, but I wouldn't go to the extent of running it on a rinse cycle just because I wouldn't want to waste a wash worth of water.
All right.
Okay, so put it in. Before you do, make sure you do up your zips.
Oh,
yeah. This is a good tip.
Why is that?
So your zips are made of teeth, and they're going to be whipping around in there with your lovely, nice fabric, and they just act like a chainsaw.
Good tip.
So in you go. You may notice there's already some stuff in there, but so what else can I put in there? You say?
Ooh.
Well,
never washed a pack before.
Yeah. So as I say, you don't want to waste water doing a rinse cycle. What you don't want to do is waste water just washing one item. Now, generally, you only want to wash 2 items at at most doing this, just to allow the room and allow it to do its job. So I'm going to take these two things out, but I'm not going to waste it on just one jacket. So you can definitely wash your pack. Yeah. Just make sure all the zips are done up, all the buckles are done up. Make sure you've got all the old dirty cheese butties out of it. I would take the back pad out. Take that out.
Yep.
And pop that in. And then in there, you can either pour the stuff into your drawer or put it into a little cup, stick it in there. I'm not actually going to put it on because I've already done a wash today. Put it onto 30, 40 degrees synthetic cycle or eco if you've got it, that kind of thing. And this stuff, cleaner stuff, it's all effective at 30, 40 degrees. It doesn't have to be a boil wash. And that's it really. So stick it on, it washes, and then you get it out, and it all looks pretty kind of sodden. So this is kind of a good example of what happens because the DWR is worn to such a point that the jacket is just taking on the water. That's why it's all kind of, and it looked like that at the end of an arm as well because it's just been completely hammered. So I did a couple of jackets, still pretty wet, and still wet, so that's fine. So, and that's it. You would actually notice, and put them there. You will notice an improvement in their performance just by doing that.
So what are you actually? So in that stuff, when you the stuff that you're putting in, what is actually? It's replacing the DWR? Or?
So this is just washing it. We're just washing it at this point. Now
so is that a cleaner you're putting in there?
Yeah.
Or?
So in this case, it could be Tech Wash. That was Storm Care.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of different options. So you can have a wash, just a wash.
Yeah.
You can have a two in one. So 2-in-1 has the DWR in with it as well. So you're just doing one wash.
Okay.
And Storm Care, you can buy them separately, but you can put them in at the same time, so you're not doing two washes.
So what you're doing? So you're washing all the oil and all the rubbish out of the jacket first. So you're literally washing it.
I'm doing a wash, yeah. Just washing it. Just washing it. Yeah.
Got it.
So you're like I say, this is the equivalent of dumping it in a bucket.
So you're literally just telling me it's all new. This whole using a washing machine. This is brilliant stuff. I'm making notes here.
Yeah, we're a very forward-thinking company here. This is
great.
Right.
We should expand this tutorial to just using washing machines.
I have to check how to use this.
Brilliant. Okay, so you wash it and then
you washed it.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to use a 2-in-1. Then that's all at the same time. Now, there's a reason why you would use it, and there's a reason why you wouldn't use a 2-in-1. So why would you use a 2-in-1? If you're using your jacket almost every day, if not every day, if you're an outdoor instructor, if you're a guide, if you're just somebody who is in their jacket every day, then you need to wash it very often. And in that way, you're not going to spend the time doing 2 different washes and sprays and all that kind of stuff. You just need to wash it and get it out and get it ready for the next day. So that's why you would do a 2-in-1. The issue with a 2-in-1, I think, Storm Care will probably say something different on the comment. I don't think it's as strong. I don't think you get as good a lasting performance from the DWR if you do a 2-in-1.
I would say logically that if you're washing it out, then surely take all the rubbish out of it.
Yeah.
Then put it back in. Surely it can't do both things at the same time. But,
I mean, I'm sure it can in some degree, like molecularly. I don't know, but I prefer personally washing it then reproofing it.
So when you wash it, does that take the existing DWR treatment off?
Not if you use a specific wash or soft soap, should it exist.
Right.
So that's why we're using these. So if you have a jacket that just gets dirty, but the DWR is fine because you've only just reproofed it or you've just bought it and got it dirty, then you could just wash it. It will take the dirt away, but it will leave the DWR because you're not using that astringent detergent. So yeah, absolutely. And on that point, if you do have a jacket and it's just you've fallen over in a cow pat, smear a poo up your arm, whatever, you can't be bothered putting it in the wash. Obviously, You can spot clean stuff. Just put some of the wash on a cloth, or a sponge, and you can spot clean it. And that's obviously a more efficient way of doing it. You don't need to then reapply your DWR.
Okay.
So that's the main thing. One thing on DWR is you may have noticed that your new jacket, loses its DWR quicker than your older jackets did. So you may have had a jacket that you bought 10, 12 years ago, and you didn't have to reproof it for like 3 years, maybe. Whereas nowadays, you notice that the bleeding stops quicker, stops doing that quicker. And that's down to a change in the DWR formula. So a few years ago, it was to do with the control of hazardous substances. The problem is DWR, when it's used in industry or even by us in the washing machine, it gets into the water cycle, and that is a chemical that stops water adhering stuff or sticking stuff. Now, if you're a fish and you rely on getting water, oxygen onto your gills in the water, and it's not doing that, then obviously that's not a good thing. So they changed the length of the chains,
hydrocarbons, to
make them shorter, so that they break down quicker in the water cycle. The downside of that is it doesn't last as long as the fabric, but the upside is we're not killing the oceans quite as quickly.
Yeah, I was talking to the OMM designer, Colin Fisher, about this. He was sort of telling me about this, of how they've had to limit the length of the hydrocarbons that they use for the DWR treatment. Which is, like, as you say, better for the environment, but like you say, means that the DWR isn't as durable.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair swap.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that subject as well, so if we're talking about protecting the oceans and being responsible, one thing that's worth looking at investing in is a microplastics wash bag. So this is a bag that you put your synthetics in and put them in the washing machine, and it traps the little microfibers that come off your jacket or whatever, because this is all made from plastic. This is plastic. That gets out of here, gets into the water, and ends up in the ocean. So using a little bag to trap those is worth doing. They're like £1.50 off eBay or something. Well, I'm sure we could sell them, but yeah.
Okay. Cool. So then once I've washed it, how do I make it waterproof again? Clean.
So me and Davey are going to go about this 2 different ways. But again, we've got a nice little comment here.
Do I get to pick which one I like best?
If you have time, a spray is good and will give a stronger treatment. However, using in the machine version will ensure full garment coverage with ease, it says. So that's what we were saying. So washing it in is a lot easier. It gets all over and that's fine. But a spray on is good, because I prefer spray on, because you can target areas that are going to be higher wear areas, such as the shoulders. And also, I think a washing, you're proofing the inside of the jacket then. Well, it won't adhere much, but you'll get some on the inside. I mean, it rubs off, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the performance of the jacket. I just think, well, why not? But I know, Davey, you feel slightly differently.
Yeah, I would rather be out on the hill than in the house spraying my jacket. So I'd rather just use the proofer.
Well, I quite like spending the time making sure I have full coverage by spraying.
Yeah.
I like the. I think I've always just given it a spray. I would like just.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gets it going again.
But more like you're definitely doing something.
Yeah, and then it works great until you actually end up in a massive rainstorm and you say, "Oh yeah, I've missed this bit and this bit."
Yeah,
you've got big little soggy patches all over the place.
But it's a really good point. You're going to definitely cover all of it if you wash it in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you how to I'm going to show you how to spray it, or how I spray it anyway. So that's it really. So you've washed it. It's wet. You don't dry it. It's wet. Yeah, sodden. And that's when you're going to apply your proofer. So Davey, you've washed yours.
I've washed mine, and I cheekily nick my little Pyrex dish. It's actually mine. And just fill that. So 75 ml for 2 jackets. Enter that. Put that into the dispenser. Simple, easy as synthetic cycle. 30, 40 degrees, and wash it in that. And it's as easy as that. Just give it a full wash. And when it's done, I'm a tumble dryer fan as well. I know you're not, James, but I like to get these in the tumble dryer.
Yeah, so that's a really good point about how you can help the DWR adhere to the fabric. So washing it or spraying it on will do the trick. But if you want to keep it, if you want to help it adhere, then you can apply heat to it. Sorry, I've just walked outside to do the spraying, but I've realised I've left the spray.
All right, I've got a question for Davey. Davey, right, if I wash it in then, am I not going to end up with DWR on the inside and the outside completely blocking the membrane?
Whenever you start to wear on the inside of the membrane, you're going to wear it off. So if you're wearing a fleece underneath that, it's going to wear it off really quickly. So it's going to start breathing again really fast. That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, it wears off really quickly.
You're saying so for ease, then wash it in is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah,
and then accept that it will wear off just because it's on the inside of the jacket.
It's on the inside, so it's the first time you wear it again. It's probably going to just breathe a wee bit slower. You're going to maybe notice it, but that's going to wear off. So if you've got a top that you're wearing to run in underneath, that's just going to wear it right off. So it's that the two fabrics rubbing together, and I'd rather do that than what he's about to do, because I'd rather be outside. Life's too short.
I am outside.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather. Well, not that we're allowed to go. Well, actually, you know what? It's probably a really good thing to do now. If you're really, really bored, you could spray your jacket.
So I'm doing this outside because I suppose it's good.
You washed it in the soap flakes that found on eBay, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got mine on a hanger. Okay.
Yeah.
I will hang it up as well, but it's a bit better light here. So you can see, I don't know if you can see on there, there's some darker patches, which is definitely where DWR is worn out. You just hanging it up.
Yeah, I remember doing this to a barber jacket about 30 years ago that I had to go fishing in, and it just brings me straight back. My big heavy wax cotton jacket, spray it on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about wax jackets, did we? That's a fifth waterproof.
Yeah, that's the best waterproof.
And then you've got leather, I suppose, as well.
Yeah,
leather jacket. I don't see many people running in leather jackets, though.
No.
I was climbing in winter on Ben Nevis, and I saw a guy in a leather jacket.
Did you?
Yeah.
I hope you congratulated him.
He was crawling to the summit. I called the air ambulance. So the key areas to do are around the shoulders. That's where your rucksack's really going to wear them away.
Are you waterproofing your lungs there, James, as well as you're breathing? No.
You just hold your breath. Everyone's got a face mask now, anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
The spray. There we go. So yeah, concentrate on the shoulders, around the hood, anywhere where you get high wear areas, and it really shows up once it's come out the wash because your water has really saturated those spots.
And that's the thing, though, high wear areas as well. When you're wearing a pack, that pack does repel. You know, we can see it. We'll get somebody will send us a picture and say their jacket's leaking, and it's down through here, across there. That's brilliant, and then there where the waist strap goes, and it's just because it's worn off. It's worn the DWR off, and then the fabric's taken in the moisture. So
yeah, it's dead easy to do. You know yourself, like you say, it's the last thing you want to do if you've got time is spend time washing your jacket, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I say I prefer the spraying. I think just because you can focus on the areas where I know I want like a big thick layer.
Yeah.
On the hard bits, where I always sort of, on the shoulders, on the hood and stuff, make sure you get a sort of a thick layer so that you get extra protection there.
Yeah, I mean, it might only just be psychological. I don't know, but you feel better.
Point.
And then we've got some top tips from some more experts here. Storm Care. Ideal solution for finishing, air dry the garment, then short tumble dry to cure it. So once you've sprayed this all over, you can dry it almost completely. And then if you have a tumble dryer, which I don't, pop it in the tumble dryer on a low heat for 10-20 minutes, just to apply heat to it. So I don't have a tumble dryer, but I've never found it to be a problem. I just hang it up in an airing cupboard or above a radiator. Day like today, even in the sun, although I guess UV degradation is probably more of an issue.
Thing is, the tumble dryer, people are, I mean, they don't want to put their expensive jacket in a tumble dryer. It's, I'm, you know, I've tested a lot of different jackets. I put them in the tumble dryer, cranked that baby up as hot as I could do it, and just left them in there, and then come back expecting a golf ball rolling around the inside of it. Oh, that doesn't happen. I've burnt myself on zips taking it out of the tumble dryer. They're fine. Don't do it though. You know, low dry.
Yeah, like it's
and just a cool tumble dry for 20 minutes is good. But I have tried to destroy them. I have tried to melt them, to turn them into little balls of hard plastic. Never managed it. So
it's all rename of science.
The tumble dryer is your friend.
And then
if you have one.
But yeah, application of heat. Now you can, in theory, lay a tea towel over it and then run it over with an iron on low. But I've never done that.
I've never done it.
I've never done it. So I mean, you can do it. Yeah.
I'll maybe do it. I'll do it later. Let you know how it goes.
So when spraying, if you use a cloth dampen with product to ensure even, so that's a good tip. There you go. I've not done that before. So
use a damp.
I guess if you've got kids, you could get your kid wearing it and hold their arms out.
Yeah.
maybe just put a buff over their face and just
kind of cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the idea anyway.
Yeah.
And then so that hangs up.
So how thick have you put that on, James? Have you absolutely drenched it, or?
I could probably do a bit more, but I think you can see it sort of sitting on the.
So you sort of just made it damp.
Yeah, you want to be like, you can't put too much on. Is what I would say. So you can absolutely soak it with it, as well, as much as you can soak a waterproof. You really want to layer it up on the shoulders, and then, like Stormcare says, you can rub it in with the damp cloth, just to make sure that you're not kind of missing any patches. It's a good one, that But you want to just spend a little bit of time spraying it all over. So I know I'm sticking with my guns here.
His limit is wash in.
Wash it in, honestly.
Yeah.
Just wash it in, put it in the tumble dryer.
I quite like the preciseness of the spraying. I feel like I know exactly where I've got extra DWR treatment on there.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I normally have two hands. I'm not normally holding a laptop while doing this.
Have you waterproofed your laptop?
Yeah, it's sorted. That's all they do with those expensive phones and stuff. You know, they just spray them.
Oh, really?
And actually, not that it's particularly what it's designed for, but you know, when you buy a car and they're like, "Oh, do you want to pay 300 quid and we'll do a treatment on the seats and stuff?" Yeah. Yeah, that's just this.
That's just
it's a version of that. Like,
right.
You can just save yourself £300, go out and buy a set of that.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of buying it, Davey, you want to sort of say about where you can buy this stuff?
The thing is, like, with most running shops, won't have it. Most running shops won't have a clue what to do. Outdoor shops, you'll find it in any outdoor shop. You go in and ask them about waterproof, they'll know what they're talking about. They'll have green gears, they'll have neck wax, so they'll have this stuff. There you go. Yeah, they'll have stormproof. Yeah. Or just get it online. But the thing is, the guys in the shop they'll be trained up on how to use it as well. That's the thing. It's been a thing in the outdoor world forever. But running's a bit different. And there's so many new runners out there now that are buying their waterproofs for ultra. They haven't come through the outdoor. They're just getting into the running, and they don't know. The guys in running shops tend not to be there. They're there to sell you trainers. They know the shoes inside out.
Yeah, we've got it in the OMM centre, haven't we? They can call the shop and get it through us, can't they?
Yeah, you can absolutely buy it through us in Lancaster, or you can give us a call. But yeah, Stormcare have a website as well, so that's good. But yeah, the main thing is it doesn't really matter what, as long as you're not using detergent. It doesn't matter what you do. It almost doesn't matter what brand you use. Just clean it. Just clean it.
Just clean it.
Cleaning your jacket is the biggest thing you can do.
How often do you reckon?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it depends how much you use it. But even if you never wear your jacket and hang it in the wardrobe, there will be a reduction in its DWI effectiveness because it just degrades over time. The chemical just breaks down. So if you're wearing it perhaps every once, twice a week, you probably wear it. You run sort of 3-4 times a week. It rains most days. I'd probably wash mine
except on lock-in.
yeah, true. Yeah, so probably every 6 weeks, something like that. But a good rule is if you notice that wetting out, that's time to wash it.
Yeah.
Or 6 to 8 weeks. If you're using it almost daily, then make it more like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to look for that wetting out, and even if you don't see the wetting out, which is great, because your DWR is intact, you're still going to be sweating into it. You're still going to be building up the salt, the oil, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, 6 to 8 weeks is a rule. 4 weeks if you're doing it often. If you're wearing it often, and if you're an instructor or a guide and you're wearing it daily, then you want to be doing it probably every week or 2 weeks, something like that. Yeah, I'd probably just use a wash. Definitely use a 2-in-1 if you're doing that, just to get that turnover of it. Yeah. But then one thing to say is it's not just for waterproof. So like I say, you can wash your rucksack, but you could also wash soft shell. Will take DWR really well as well. That's how soft shells tend to work. They don't have a membrane. You should use DWR. But washing them, you can use exactly the same stuff. Synthetic jackets.
Yeah, insulated jackets.
It's probably worth actually mentioning insulation in general, which includes your sleeping bag, which can also get pretty minging unless you use a liner, which is a lot easier. But yeah, absolutely wash your synthetics. Down is a little bit different. We don't sell any down products, but if you do have a down jacket or a down sleeping bag, check the instructions. But the main thing about washing down is get it dry afterwards. So tumble dry. Maybe even go to a laundrette where they've got the bigger drums to give it room to move around.
A lot better. Take
it out every 10 minutes or something and agitate it to move the filling around.
I beat the living daylights out of mine.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. So like tennis balls and dryer balls, stuff like that, that will help.
I tend to find as well, when you think it's dry enough, do it again.
Do it. Keep doing it. Like it takes so long to dry a down jacket, and a sleeping bag is crazy. And in fact, to the point where there are now companies like Scottish Mountain Gear, or have a Google, they will wash your down sleeping bag for you.
Yeah.
Because it's such a pain. So if you do like spill coffee or noodles on it or something, spot wash it. That's absolutely fine. You could even use a spray-on cleaner and just damp cloth, that kind of thing. But actually putting it through a washing machine and soaking it is a really you've got to commit to it, But a synthetic jacket, and the reason synthetic is, in a way is better than down, is because you can chuck it into the washing machine, wash it with your waterproofs and stuff, just with a normal tech wash or Stormcare wash, stick it in, wash it, hang it up to dry, give it a spray with the DWR, and you're away, and it's dead easy to dry. So yeah, do wash your synthetic, wash your soft shell, your windproof, which is just another form of kind of a membraneless waterproof almost. It's a technical fabric. They're all absolutely fine to wash with it. So yeah,
basically wash your kit.
Look
after your stuff.
So then the other thing to talk about is base layers actually. So what you will find is you will wash a base layer, particularly cheaper ones that you get free at races. You wash it, you put it on, and you're already stinking. How does that work? Why is that? but it's just because they hold on to the bacteria. As soon as your body heat starts warming the bacteria back up, they start digesting and start whatever they do, and they start creating the smell. So nice t-shirts which have polygene or sort of bamboo elements like yours, Al, are antibacterial, so that's great. But you can also give them a helping hand by using a wash. So these are washes that target that bacteria, even on 30 degrees or even a cold wash. So look for something that is a specific base layer wash. You maybe don't use it every time, but just when you notice that stink is really building up, maybe before you do an event where you're going to spend the night with your mate in a tent.
No. A little treat for him.
He's never washed his jacket. Come on.
So yeah, washing face layers with a specific wash, and again avoiding those detergents because and fabric softener and fabric conditioner, because they've all got these. So particularly fabric softener, the way fabric softener works is it actually attracts a small layer of moisture to the fabric, and that's what makes it feel so soft. Obviously, if you're wearing a technical t-shirt, you don't want a layer of moisture sticking to it. So don't use those kind of products with your technical stuff. Keep that. If you have to do a separate wash or something, just put it to one side. Just avoid that kind of stuff. But yeah, absolutely, all that kind of stuff. In terms of general maintenance, Davey, I think you've got a couple of tips.
Oh, what's this? This is this to go with your moisturizer.
Yeah, I know. My moisturizer's far better than that. Sorry. Just put lip balm on the inside of your zip. Just literally just run it along the teeth, and that keeps your zip working really, really smoothly.
Yeah.
Run a bit of that along the teeth. Zip it back up. Yeah, that's it. That's one of the biggest things you can do, just because pockets, and that main zip, if you do that with main zip, it just keeps it running so smooth. But that's actually same with your tent zips as well. Put a bit of lip balm on your tent zips.
You can buy a specific zip lube, it's called, which will work. But if you're in the field, if you're out and about, you've probably got a lip balm or something like that. Running that along the zip really works. In fact, so the other thing, especially with race vests and rucksacks, that I find is that they get caked in sweat and gel, like whatever, from your gels and
that's worse when you in your pocket. You've put a rolled up gel and it's just it's like a little hand grenade next time you go in.
So what you can do is wash it. Wash the vest, wash the rucksack, wash your jacket. And what I had to do the other day with the zip was a little bit of TW40 on a bit of tissue, and I just worked that over the zip, and it dissolved whatever the gunk was and got rid of it. So there's usually a way around these things. But looking after your zips is a really important one, which is why we say zip it up before you wash it. If you damage one of the teeth, if you bend a tooth on the zip, it's not going to do up anymore. And you can bend it back into shape, but it takes a bit of doing. You have to be quite careful, depending what kind of zip it is. So you don't want to damage the zip, keeping that running smoothly, not forcing it if it gets stuck. Really important. And washing will help that. It'll remove the salt buildup. So.
Yeah, I think it's I think everybody is guilty of not washing and looking after their kit enough.
Yeah,
kind of get it back, chuck it on the hook. That'll do. It'll dry like that.
Yeah,
I've spent
a career telling people to wash their gear and telling them that they've ruined it by not washing it. But I mean, I'm definitely not as strict as I should be.
Yeah, you always regret it once you get to winter and it's proper, horrendous weather. You're like, I should have sorted it. But now's the time to kind of do a bit of maintenance and tidy all your kit up, I think.
and then that's it. So you're looking after your waterproof. It'll look after you. In terms of how we've looked at how they work and how that kind of barrier works, and but also there's their limitations. So Davey, he's got his jacket on there, but there is a big hole where his head sticks out. Right at the top.
It's a big hole.
Even if you put the hood up, he has got a very small head, so it doesn't fill it properly. It's a big hole where your head sticks out. That water can get in there. And then if you're wearing a synthetic or a fleece or a buff, they're designed to move moisture. And so if you've got a buff on or a zip, a base layer, it's going to move the moisture. So what you'll find is you might be wet down here, but it's not leaking here. It's the moisture getting in here or in your cuffs where your hands stick out.
Just get
the action of the base layer is doing its job. But unfortunately, it's doing its job by spreading the moisture up your arm. And the same with where your legs stick out. If you're wearing leggings or flash tights or a pair of shorts, it's going to transmit that moisture up into your base layer. So a waterproof. If we could stitch you into a waterproof, cool, you'd be dry. You'd maybe suffocate, but you'd be dry. But we can't do that. We do our best, but we can't do that. So there's a limitation to how they work. But if you do up your zips, cinch in the hood, make sure the cuffs are done up, the hem's done up, then it will keep you as dry as possible. Yeah. So
yeah, there's definitely a chat there on moisture management. I know I suffer from it a lot. Trying to get a litre of water out through a membrane is quite a significant challenge for any jacket.
And that's a litre an hour. So, and it's trying to get that litre of moisture out through tiny holes in the fabric, in the membrane. And it's gonna. The longer you wear a jacket for, the more chance it's got to do that. And that's really well. So a 30-minute hard and fast session, you're gonna be damp on the inside because your jacket just hasn't had a chance to, especially a 2-layer or 2.5 layer jacket, it hasn't got a chance to get that action, that pumping action. Whereas if you wear it for 4 hours, all right, you might get a bit wet through here and the cuffs and stuff in bad weather, but you're way better off with that jacket on than without it because it has that time to pump that excess moisture from in here outwards and keep those outside elements out. So it's about managing the performance of your jacket, your expectation and your layering of the jacket and allowing it to work. That's it.
Cool.
All right.
Brilliant. Very interesting, guys. I think I will take more care of my jacket and wash it more often.
Do. Just, treat it like you would, a car or, anything where you need to maintain it.
Yeah, it's everybody. I think that's it. Is you just kind of you stuff it in your bag and you sort of forget about it and stuff. But you do need to. They need to be maintained, and especially with the more lighter weight fabrics. These are very technical fabrics that we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
So they need maintenance and they need to be serviced to keep them working at their best.
Yeah.
And obviously we've just talked about jackets, but waterproof trousers as well. They get really muddy. You don't wear them very often, but they do get muddy and what have you. So it's worth doing. Concentrate on the seat and around the bottom of the legs and on the knees. Concentrate that spray or wash it in. Yeah. Wash it in.
Brilliant. Very, very good, James. Thank you very much for your time. Next week, we are going to do something physical. We're going to do some strength training exercises for running up things. Probably by the sounds of it, it's your stairs and your drive that would be running.
Yeah.
Strength training for running upstairs. So that's all we've got access to.
Yeah. If you go up down your stairs to get to the height of Everest, you're going to really mess with your knees.
Yeah. And let's start the campaign, James, to run an Everest stairs.
Yeah. I got some crutches. I'll get them.
You'd enjoy that.
Yeah. I'll leave it to Rowan. We'll get him on. We'll ask him about it. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks, James. Very helpful. I will wash my jacket more often.
Wash your jacket. That's